Alrighty guys, it's been a long time, and I want to do a little rant about something that's been annoying me for a while now. It's the problem with these anime tower defense games. We all know it, and we all still feed into it, because what else can we do? Like, since Anime Adventures, like, went down, every single tower defense game has always become, what is the easiest way to macro the new stage? What is the best way that I don't have to play this game, but still get all of the rewards from it and more compared to what I would get from actually playing the game? How... Alright, if I had to ask you this question, how many times do you actually play a tower defense game that isn't macroing? If we look at Anime Vanguards, what is there to do in that game other than macro? If we look at Anime Crusaders, what is there to do in that game besides macro? Yeah, All-Star Tower Defense X, when that came out, what is there to do besides macro? The new stages. And there is genuinely no content in any of these games that holds retention at all. It's all macro. It's all everything to do with macro. Now, it isn't really the fault of these games. Mainly the player base that has kind of fueled this fire into these games. Because you know, if nobody ever made macros beyond, the simple stuff like AFK in infinite mode or stuff like that, like in the golden age of anime adventures / before the game went down, before the game became bad, the only way to macro something was through scripting, which was, cheating, and Tiny Task, which was not cheating. Tiny Task was probably the only acceptable thing that should have ever been considered macroing. At least fairly. It is something that you need to make, and it's not very easy to perfect, in which you can just, take it into a stage and do the stage and then win and play it back, and it will still win. Every single time. But now, we've gotten even higher advancements of macros. Like auto hotkeys, a macro that literally is built off of pictures of the game that you are playing to tell the macro what it needs to do and where and when it needs to do it. Basically, think of it as the game playing itself for you. If you know what informal macro is for Anime Vanguards, you know that auto hotkey macros literally require you to never ever touch the game in your own manner ever again. Now, is that entirely true? No. You still have to play the game, and by play, I mean you need to log on to the game, set up your macro, and then you can leave for any amount of time until you have gotten what you wanted, and then you can come and do the next thing. Which, guess what the next thing is? Another macro for the next step on what you need to get. But what happens when there's no more there's no more stuff for you to macro? What do you do then? Well, that's exactly the problem. Right now, there is nothing for anyone to do in any of these tower defense games. Besides Anime Crusaders, which just had an update today, and even then, it is a small update to where you can macro this for a night. And then guess what? You'll be done with the update forever. There's nothing to keep a player base at all. It is log on, get what's new, without even having to play the game. Then moving on to the next thing, and once you're done with everything, then you just sit for a week. Because unless we're talking about ALS, which even them, every single one of these games does not update weekly on a good basis to where you can guarantee you'll have something else to do in the next week, you know? Anime Crusaders, I think this update might have taken 3 weeks, maybe 2. Might have drawn it out a little bit. Not sure. Anime Vanguards. I mean, they did get a hit with a DMCA, so they had to kind of scrap a bunch of stuff and kind of scramble to fix everything. But that took 7 weeks. I think it was 7 weeks, right? Either way, that's not the point. None of these games are able to keep up with how fast everyone is able to complete and clear all of the content. It's just not possible. It's all animated, not animated, automated, to where you don't need to lay a finger on the game and you can complete it in a day or two, which is the biggest problem. Because, I mean, these games are just going to eventually die. Like, that's what happens when. I mean, we look at Anime Last Stand, right? That game pushes out usually weekly updates, but it's all stuff that you can do in zero amount of time, and they just lose all their players every time. They lose their whole player base. Because everyone completes the update, at least what they need to complete. Like, for example, they did a skin update, and that was not anything worth anything. Anything worth playing. So everyone said, nope. We're gonna do all the main stuff, and then we're gonna go to Anime Vanguards. Well, actually, they updated at the same time, so. But still. I mean, we can look at the players, like right now. If we look at the player count, let's see. When Anime Vanguards updated, it was at least 170k, right? Something like that. And it's still at 83,000, which is nothing bad. But it means that half of the player base is not on the game anymore. And it is 12 a.m. on a what is it, Saturday? Yeah, Saturday. So I mean, it's late, so it is macro time. But that's what most of these players are doing in the daytime anyway. They're still macroing. Like, the only time that I play Anime Crusaders, because I do play it sometimes. Like, I'm playing it right now. But I do play. But mainly, the only time that I play / log on to the game is for my dailies and for, to macro. Because I'm in the same boat as everyone else. Why would I do something when I can have the computer do it for me? There needs to be incentives to grind things manually. Grinding things manually usually either wastes your time and it doesn't actually provide you any benefit, or it's something that you could do just without actually playing. For example, the Halloween event in Anime Crusaders. The best way to farm candy, guess what it is? It's sitting there and hitting retry over and over and over again and not placing any units. That's the best way to get the currency for the entire update. Is an auto clicker. Like, you see how backwards that sounds? And even if it wasn't the best, like, even if you might have gotten less, There's genuinely no point to spend 30 minutes in a stage to get, how many was it? Is it like, to get 50,000 candy when I could spend maybe 3 minutes and get 3,000 candy. Or more. Depends on what kind of cards you get, you know. It's all luck based. Based on how many you get. But yeah, literally, why would I do that? The only thing that you needed to complete the Halloween event for was Kermie. And then once you got her, you basically only did Halloween to get an Owl card. And after that, you either went for shinies or you just stopped playing the update. Anime Vanguards is in the same boat. The anniversary event is mad easy. I don't even play Anime Vanguards, but I did get one of the new anniversary units with Crusader. No, not Crusader. Vanguard. Nope. Monarch. With Monarch. I got Hollow Knight with Monarch, and I could solo it with him. And I could probably easily... Actually, nah. I probably couldn't set up a macro with that unit. Just because of the fact that they spawn people on the track. Like farther away from the start of the road. But if you have strong characters, you can set up a macro in no amount of time at all. My friend is macroing right now. I see him setting up a macro. It's a 5-minute macro. And Vanguards, I feel like, caters the most to the AFK players. There's the most macros on that game. Actually, that's not true. I would say Anime Last Stand caters most to the macro players. Because they make everything easy to get, and AFK grindable, and yada yada yada. And then Anime Vanguards just kind of falls into that boat. Because of how broken they make the Vanguard units. And then, like, Escanor himself is like the pinnacle of a... what's it called? Of a macro unit. You sacrifice all your units, he's free, he upgrades himself, and... I mean, he's just strong. Now, sure, you do need Monarch, but I think pretty much everyone that actually plays that game has a Monarch Escanor, because he's a Vanguard. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with actually making games slightly macroable. Like, things that are tedious to do, like gem farming or coin farming, which is non-existent in every single game. But things like that, I think, are things that should be macroable, just because you shouldn't need to, like, be waiting to get gems to summon on banner, you know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't need to do that. Sure, is that, like, kind of the whole purpose of the gacha system? Yes, but, like, because there's so much stuff to grind nowadays in every new tower defense. There's a new currency every event. There's rerolls. There's this and that. There's all of this nonsense that you need to farm for. That it's like, when do you have time to farm for gems? Because all these event stages, they do not give... They do not give gems. They never give gems. It's like, literally, what do you do? To show y'all something from Vanguards, let's take in the summer event. Where the best way to farm this event is not to play and get the highest way possible. You know, as it is an infinite mode, you would assume that is what you want to do. Or at least get to a certain wave to where you can, you know, min-max the amount of time spent to the amount of resources you gain. And the best way to do that is to get to wave 10, or it might be wave 20, one of two. It's the first wave that you actually get rewards. And then you instantly restart the match, and that's it. The run is done. That is easily one of the most boring events I've ever played. I did play this event. Not when it came out, but during the anniversary event. Because I did need the rerolls from it to get Monarch on my Hollow Knight. Because I did do that. And genuinely, this is, in my opinion, Anime Vanguards is the slowest game ever. It takes forever for waves to skip unless you kill the enemies on your own, which is genuinely not possible, like ever. Do they have units? I don't play Vanguards, so do they have units that are like first wave placeable in normal money modes? Because you do get like 3,500 in infinite modes. So then you can, you know, place a unit and instantly kill the first wave. But, like, is there a placement? Because ALS has placement units. So that makes the game, you know, more active. You can place a unit right as the game starts so that you can defend from the early waves. Because in these tower defense games, you need to farm to maximize the amount of money that you can gain. And to do that, you need to be able to not worry about the enemies and gain yen from killing the enemies. Alright, well, that was a little side tangent. But, yeah, this is one of the worst ways that an event has ever been played. For me, at least. Like, I've played macro-heavy games. Macro-heavy games. Like, literally where people are macroing all day, every day, all the time. I don't think people do that for tower defense games. I might be wrong, but I'm gonna throw my example out there. FNAF Tower Defense. I played that game a lot. And that game was super macro heavy. Because you can macro any and everything. Everything was made for you to macro it. Clubs or clans had macros for wins because the clan leaderboards were built on wins. So you just went into stages and you macroed them and you got the most amount of wins that you could. But again, I don't have problems with games integrating macros into some parts of it. But these are not the ways that you do that. Not every event should be a macro fest. Not every stage should be easily beatable. And when I say easily beatable, I don't mean, oh, you need, you know, at least 2 people to beat it, because that's even worse. That's even worse than making it macroable. Because that just makes solo players frustrated with the fact that they need to go find someone to play with. I mean, don't make it like too easy in the sense that I can place a unit down and it can win by itself, or I can place my farms, place my unit, and win. Like, if it's gonna be macroable, it's gonna be macroable to the highest, you know, level players. Now, in Anime Vanguard sense, that is basically, you know, that answer is out the window. Because how many people on this game don't have at least 3 monarchs? on some of the best units in the game. Like, I mean, it seems like with how many rerolls you can farm in this game, apparently. I don't know where you farm them all. Who doesn't have Monarch? But yeah, tower defense games, we need to do better. Better at making updates, better at involving players into actually playing the updates. Because this is not it. It's way too boring. It's way too slow paced for some of these games. And old tower defense games were just, more fun. That is what a game is supposed to be. A game is supposed to be fun. If I'm not playing the game, it is not a fun game. It is something that I've gotten myself into, and now it's too late, and I can't take myself out of it. That's an addiction. Ain't gonna lie, that's an addiction. Like, people that only macro tower defense games, what are you playing for? Like, if you play and you complete an update, that's good on you. And you want a macro to get all of the shinies, go for it, man. You're macroing to be a collector. Something that takes a considerable amount of time, and most people definitely don't have that amount of time. There's nothing wrong with using macros to benefit yourself for, doing something that you don't have the time to. But only macroing is not, you're not playing the game. You're never playing the game. You are just, I don't even know what I could use, a term that I could use for it. Because, I mean, it's not really an addiction, you know? Like, you probably aren't addicted to this game. You could probably just quit today. But it's like I don't know, Like, why do you play a game if it's not fun? That's my little gripe with the state of all of these tower defense games. Mainly just the fact that I don't ever play them. Like, I want to play these games, but I don't want to just sit here and, I want to play games. I don't want to set up my macro and then have to go do something else, Because that's just not what I want to do. If I'm gonna macro, it's gonna be I'm macroing when I don't have the time to play. If I'm sleeping, if I'm at school, if I'm going out, which doesn't happen very often, but like, if that does happen, that's when macroing should happen. When I'm at home and I'm bored and I'm looking for something to do, it shouldn't be, I mean, I'm just bored, man. I guess I'll just set up my macro. Like, that's not what should happen. I should be able to go, oh yeah, I want to play that game, and I can play it and actually have fun. If things don't really get better for these types of games, it might just be over. I mean, I don't know. I get bored. I have more fun just playing other games. But I don't want to make videos on other games. So, I'm posting less and less. Mainly that's just because there was an update, but depending on how the state of this game specifically, because I don't really care for the other ones. But if this game just continues to be a macro simulator and it doesn't get my attention anymore, then yeah, I'm not, I'll check out the updates, but I'm not going to make videos on this game. I make videos on stuff that I think is fun to do. And if I don't think something's fun, I'm not going to entertain it with my time. If you get what I mean. Alright, but now, for real. Goodbye. See you next time. Maybe.